The problem really for Lappet-faced vultures is, first off, that there's not many of them, and they're an endangered species that's decreased by over 80% over the last several decades, and there's no real sign that they're recovering anytime soon. So that's the big problem for Lappet-faced vultures. There's not many of them. In South Africa, their biggest population's in Kruger National Park, and that's where we're focusing on them. So the biggest problem for Lappet-faced vultures in the area where we're working is that they're losing their breeding habitat, specifically the trees, and these trees, lots of them, not all of them, but lots of them are getting knocked over by elephants. We're not really sure why the elephants knock over these particular trees. We've been monitoring vultures for a long time, and we really only noticed this lack of trees or loss of trees because of the long-term monitoring effort. And so it was when we started seeing the trees disappearing that we first noticed this behaviour. So originally I thought it was just elephants foraging, just eating and doing what elephants do. But more and more we found that they pushed over the tree and they didn't use the tree. They literally just pushed it over and walked away. And this was very confusing, and we don't understand this behaviour. So part of what we're trying to do is understand that behaviour, because if we want to stop the elephants from doing it, we need to understand why they're doing it in the first place. And so our research really is focused initially on trying to understand why, and that means using things like camera traps, remote recording systems and monitoring systems so that we can try and observe the behaviour. But that's a tricky balance too, because we don't actually want to observe the behaviour because the number of trees that the Lappets have is quite small. So we don't want to wait until another nest tree gets knocked over before we can find out what's going on. Here we are at 120, waypoint 120, which is a greenthorn tree that's been wrecked by elephants. You can see it's been split both ways. The remains of the nest, it's been burned since it came through, but the remains of the nest are in there. So then we move from that into, well, how do we just generally discourage the elephants from pushing over trees that we want to keep? So it's not a case of stop eating trees, it's a case of don't eat this tree, go and eat that tree over there. So this leads us into the realm of researching different types of deterrent. It's really a case of trying to find something that's effective, sustainable, not too expensive, and then trying to see what works in the environment that we're trying to protect the trees.